All right, I'm live. Hello, hello, hello. I don't think there's anyone watching this early in the stream. It literally just started, but people will file in, I'm sure. Oh, hello, Dylan. Dylan Anime. Dylan, make it simpler. Um, yeah, it's been a while since I did a stream. I think I say that every time I do a stream, but no, really. When was the last time I did a stream? Uh, August 5th. Wow. All right. Let's get this show on the road, as they say. If anyone even says that unironically. This has been a pretty, I guess, hectic week, kind of. Had a bit of a COVID scare. I don't have COVID, at least not yet. I feel like my luck regarding that will run out eventually, though. But my uncle got COVID, but the uncle that lives in the room next to mine. Obviously, that's pretty fucking scary because, you know, I interacted with him when he had COVID and he tested positive the other day. And naturally, I went to go get tested myself, took both the rapid test and the PCR test, and came out negative, thank God. I don't have COVID. My luck hasn't run out yet. Happy about that. Hello, Robert. How are you doing today? But yeah, stay safe out there. COVID is not over by any means. If it'll ever be over, I mean, seems like at this point society has just kind of given up on taking it seriously and, just kind of accepted it as a part of life. I'm doing all right. Well, just explained, I ran the risk of getting COVID, but thankfully, again, I'm clean, tested negative, been maintaining a safe distance from my uncle. Hello, EcoPunk. How are you today? Yeah, very good. Very scary too. I mean, I wasn't just scared for myself because if I were to get it, I would likely not get it too terribly. I mean, for all I know, I would, I can't say that for certain, but I have a pretty strong immune system, so I feel like if I were to get COVID, then it wouldn't be the end of the world. But my mother has some health issues, nothing too serious, but if she were to get it, that could be serious, you know. And I my other uncle has diabetes and all that, pre-existing health conditions that when mixed with COVID don't go very well. But I feel like my luck will run out eventually, though. I mean, ever since January, I've been, going to class in person. I've been taking public transportation to classes. You know, I'm very surprised I haven't gotten it yet, but I feel like I will eventually get it. I think the only people who, you know, are least likely to get it are the people who stay inside all day. I think I had COVID in December last year. Everyone was getting sick back then. Possibly, possibly. I mean, even getting a simple cold these days can be really fucking scary. That's what my uncle thought he had. He thought he had a regular cold. Initially, when he took the rapid test, he tested negative, but then when the PCR got back, he found out he was positive. And a lot of people, if you get sick in general, you should it's a good rule of thumb to get tested anyway, even if you think you get a even if you think you have a simple cold. COVID can take that form. It could, be like a simple cold, or you don't even know you have it at all. You know, I felt fine, but I got tested anyway because for all I knew, I was asymptomatic. Just in general, if you come in contact with someone who has COVID, just get tested. Me, I haven't been sick since before the pandemic. God, when was the last time I even had a cold or a fever? Like 2019? I don't get sick very often, but a consequence of that is when I do get sick, I get it bad. Are vaccines still being given? I've heard some needed more. I think another booster came out, if I'm not mistaken. Smoke any weed lately, bruh? Last time I got high, January. It's nothing I do often, or at least not compared to uh, like 5 years ago or whatever. Everyone I knew was sick at the time. Caught COVID last August since my mom caught it at her job. That's how my uncle caught it. These past, 2.5 years, he was working exclusively at home, but then his job started forcing him to come into the office again. Not every day. He can pick and choose what days he wants to come in, but I think he was only capped out at like 12 days a month he could work at home. So all the other days in the month besides those 12 days, he has to go into the office, which is, out in Manhattan, swarming with people carrying God knows what. So, and he only started going back into the office regularly like earlier this month, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It took no time at all for him to get COVID. Jesus. And he was following all the rules. He was wearing masks when he was around people, you know, maintaining safe distances from people. Like I said, I tested positive for COVID in September. Oh, wow. Oh, no, I didn't last September, I think you mean. Um, yeah, glad you recovered from that. Had a cold in August, throat was sore as shit, but it wasn't COVID, thank God. That's good. Again, like I said, even getting a cold these days is fucking scary because you don't know if it's just a regular cold or COVID. I was so sick, I felt like I was dying. Thankfully, my uncle, he says COVID is no joke, and I believe him. He did get sick, or he does feel sick, but it doesn't feel like he's dying, or thank God he didn't have to go to a hospital or anything. Remember back in summer of 2020 when I came home from the shore, I caught a cold. I think it was from sleeping with the AC on all night. All summer, I slept with a fan pointing at me, and I'm perfectly fine. Not saying I don't believe you and that's impossible, but for me, I can sleep with cold air blowing at me for hours on end and be fine. Hello, Arnett. How are you? God, to think if my grandma was still alive, be terrified for her right now. She would easily be the one I would be scared of getting COVID the most. When she was alive during the first few months of the pandemic, she died when it was at its worst, when everyone was still quarantined. But we were so scared of her catching COVID, we did not go outside at all unless we absolutely needed to. Like, my mom was the one who went to the store. and got groceries and such. And well, at one point for like 2 months, we were just getting our groceries almost exclusively online through Amazon. Woke up cold and sore head. Luckily, it wasn't COVID, but still worth getting tested. Absolutely. We have in-home tests here, but I wanted to take one, but I found out they're all expired. What the fuck? Yeah, I was in a hotel room and had a sweater on. Well, thankfully, the air conditioned days are gone. Well, at least for now, until like May or whatever. But no, I was getting so sick of the heat. I'm glad that it's chilly again. And then I'll get sick of the cold and then want the heat back. But for now, I'm glad the cold is here because this summer here in New York was just hot as shit. My God. Like, Jesus, for weeks on end, it'd be in the high 90s, almost 100. God. I generally like fall weather when it's not too cold, at least. Um, but in general, I mean, it's a lot of people say fall is their favorite season, but eh, I don't really care for any of the seasons, really. I remember on the night before Christmas Day in 3rd grade, I got a headache so bad I couldn't move, not paralyzed, but if I moved even slightly, it felt like someone was knifing my brain. Jesus Christ. I never got a headache that bad, but I did get a headache once, in like middle school, I think, where, it felt like someone was just repeatedly punching my head. Hurt really bad. I mean, I was still able to function. I was still able to do schoolwork and everything. I didn't even bring it up until I got home. I didn't tell anyone at school about it, but my head was really hurting that day, and I don't even know why. Once got sick because of a YouTube video called Justin Berber Eats Poop. Okay. Tomorrow's only going to be 59 with rain, cozy as fuck. That sounds, well, minus the rain. That sounds nice. Well, maybe you like rain. I personally don't. Made a video about this a few months back, but I don't really like depressing weather, rain. It kind of has an effect on my mood a little bit. Gloomy days. Kind of like today, not really. It's just cloudy. There's no rain. I don't think there's any rain expected for today. But when it's like dark out and it's raining, dark clouds, I mean, it kind of has an effect on my mood. I much prefer, sunny, beautiful days. I tend to be a little happier on those days. Not to say every time it's a sunny day I'm happy. There are exceptions, of course, but generally, yeah. I I notice that my mood is a little bit better on sunny days as opposed to cloudy days. Autumn is your favorite season. I don't even know what I would call my favorite season. I would say if I didn't get allergies so badly, I would say spring because that is my ideal season. It's usually not too hot, not too cold. The weather is generally really nice, but pollen just kicks my ass. Well, this year actually it wasn't so bad. My uncle got it really bad, but I didn't get it that badly. There were some days where my eyes were bothering the fuck out of me, really itchy. My eyes were really itchy, but usually that lasts for like weeks, but this time This year, only like on some days I got it really bad, but I didn't really get allergies that bad this year. I'm happy about that. I get headaches on occasion, and I've pretty much conditioned myself to ignore them, even if they were bad. But I have never had one that bad since. I feel like if you have headaches regularly like that, maybe you should get them checked out. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional by any means. I once got constipated and it hurt badly. Okay, Dylan. That was some vital piece of information that I really needed to hear. Not a fan of rain, but I am loving the cloudy weather because this summer was way too sunny, in my opinion. I like the sun. I know too much sun is bad, but I've always liked, sunny days. I know this is a British issue, but everyone keeps making a big deal about the Queen's death, and I don't get it. I don't care about the Queen's death at all. I woke up one day, found out the Queen was dead, and I was like, cool. And just kind of moved on with my day. But here in the States, I've seen some people make huge fucking deals about it. No one I know personally, none of my family really cared, aside from just saying, oh, the Queen died today, and just kind of moving on. None of my friends really made a big deal out of it, but I've seen it on social media. Americans be like, yeah, Americans say shit like, oh my God, the Queen is dead. It's so fucking devastating. I can't believe it. Like, you live in America, dude. You live in the United States. Like, is it really that big of a deal to you? Did you even care about the Queen before she died? Well, I knew one kid in high school. I wasn't friends with him or anything, but there was this one kid that really cared about the royal wedding when that happened. What was that, like back in 2017 or whatever? Couldn't stop talking about it, and everyone was like, "Who gives a shit? We don't live in the UK." I like spring too. Well, I don't really like spring. I would love it if I didn't get allergies so badly. My mom gets migraines, so it's probably a family history thing. Nothing too serious, so don't worry. Okay. Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about the Queen too. Yeah. Well, I haven't been hearing about the Queen so much since it's been like what, 2 weeks since her death. That's my uncle. Controlling his Amazon Echo because he wants to listen to music. Hopefully it's not hopefully the music isn't too clear. Otherwise, ooh, YouTube's copyright system. I see some celebrating and others acting like it's the end of the world. Personally, I don't know where I should stand because I don't know jack shit about the Queen or the monarchy. Monarchies are bad. That's all you need to know. But in general don't really care about the Queen's death. I didn't really give it much thought when it happened. I was like, oh, nice, dead monarch. Moving on with my day. I think I found out because Twitter sent me a notification because whenever some big news event happens, or not even just big news events, like, actual important shit, but, sometimes Twitter sends me notifications about pop culture shit that I don't care about at all, never searched up, but Twitter wants me to know about it anyway. Like, oh my God, this celebrity is getting married, or this celebrity got engaged. Who cares? I don't. There's this channel that pops up in my YouTube feed a lot. No matter how many times I click not interested, it still pops up in my feed. It's a Stranger Things fan channel or whatever, and they post these community posts about like, look who Millie Bobby Brown is dating now, or look who redhead is dating now. I forget the actress's name. She played Max, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. And I press not interested, and it still fucking pops up in my YouTube feed. Maybe because I search up Stranger Things stuff. I don't search up anything about the actors' personal lives, but stuff actually related to the show. Not even all the time, but on occasion. But it's I don't know, fucking YouTube algorithm. Any thoughts on Splatoon 3, Mikey? Not much. I'll probably get it at some point. Splatoon's fun, but it's not a series I'm like passionate about or play all the time or anything. I didn't even know Splatoon 3 came out until like a few days after it came out when the Nintendo Direct came out. And they advertised some Splatoon Fest with in the Nintendo Direct. And I was like, "Oh, Splatoon 3 came out." Shit, I didn't even know. Really goes to show how much I care about Splatoon. But no, I'll probably get it. Again, I think Splatoon is fun, but I don't really. It's not a game I play all the time or anything. The Splatoon game I played the most back in the day was Splatoon 1 on the Wii U. Eh, Good times. I thought the game was better with the gamepad personally because you could just look down and see the map instead of having to cover your screen, and you know launching to other players or teleporting or whatever to other players was easier because you could just tap on the screen. Ever thought about experimenting with psychedelics? Actually, I have, but I just need to gather up the courage to do that. Maybe I'll do a stream on psychedelics someday. No, I don't think anyone would want to watch that. Hello, big guy 45s. How are you doing today? Not used Twitter in so long. It's just gossip and arguing. Don't know if you see it different. I just look at accounts that I follow. I don't pay attention to like the Twitter community as a whole or anything. People talk about how Twitter is so toxic, and I agree, but I only pay attention to people I follow. I don't pay attention to any other accounts, or again, the Twitter community in general. I just like to stay within my own circle. Same thing with Reddit. People talk about how Reddit is so toxic, and that's probably true, depending on which subreddits you go in. But you have a lot more control of what you see on a site like Reddit because you join subreddits, that are related to topics you're interested in, and you don't have to see like other subreddits if you don't join them, and a lot more control over the content you see in general. And I like that. I mostly just look at gaming subreddits, and those usually are not toxic. Usually, but some toxic people slip through the cracks because gaming community is pretty fucking garbage, as all of you probably know. Hello, Guitar Rocker. How are you? I get notifications from the Justin Bieber YouTube channel, and I never look up anything about him. Ick. Well, your phones. If you're talking about Justin Bieber around your phone, it's gonna probably recommend you something related to Justin Bieber because these things listen to you and always want something and always want to sell something to you or advertise something to you. Hey, I think between the last time I tuned in one of these streams, I visited the US for a couple of weeks. I didn't realize you could actually see guns on display in Walmart. Well, I maybe depending on where you live, I don't know. Depending on where one lives in the USA, I'm sure, that's common that's very common. Not here in New York though, because we have very strict gun laws, and the gun nut culture isn't really that prevalent here. But if you go to like the South or something, I'm sure plenty of Walmarts have guns on display, and it's just fucking gross. Psychedelics are not actually scary as they sound. They aren't. I know they're not addictive or habit forming, and are actually relatively safe if you use them responsibly in moderation. You need someone sober to be with you when you try something stronger than weed, in my opinion. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people who use psychedelics say that it's best to have someone who's sober around you when you use them, as opposed to, using them alone or using them around people who are also taking psychedelics. Be responsible and you'll be fine. Make sure there's someone there to grab onto you if you try to jump out a window or something crazy like that. That's probably not common at all, though. Just mostly joking. I try to avoid the toxic side of Twitter. I think I'm doing a pretty good job at that. I don't look at the trends all too much unless, a certain trend captures my interest. And even then, I scroll through the trend probably for like 2 minutes at most, and then I get bored and move on. In general, I don't look at Twitter all too much anymore. Maybe only like twice a day, maybe. I used to look at Twitter a lot. Used to be very interested in, what people are tweeting, what people I follow are tweeting and things like that. But these days, not really. Don't look at Twitter. Or at least I don't look at Twitter a whole lot. You know, I never found any need to delete my account or anything because, it's not like looking at Twitter has become an addiction or anything. God, I don't even fucking tweet like at all anymore. No one reads my tweets. What the fuck is the point? Oh God, what the fuck? I'm looking at my Twitter profile since I'm speaking of Twitter. I don't know how new this feature is, but now you can see how many views your tweet has gotten. What the fuck? My pinned tweet, "Don't be a douchebag," got 18K views. 18,000 people have seen that tweet and probably visited my profile. I've only accumulated 68 followers. God, it says all my tweets get like 100 plus views. Where the fuck is the engagement then? People just look and move on, I guess. I don't know. I lurk on Twitter sometimes because it's toxic to the point of hilarity. Well, again, I try not to pay attention to the toxic side. If I did pay attention to the toxic side, I probably would have deleted my Twitter account a long time ago. Still sick, but hanging in there. Oh yeah, you mentioned that you were sick. Hopefully it's just a cold or a fever and not COVID or anything else serious. Um, wish you well. Wish you a speedy recovery. Trip sitting is important to make sure you don't do anything rash while tripping. Yeah. Saw the guns in Utah. Didn't visit any Walmart in NYC when I was there, and in LA, I was sick with COVID. Not like I missed anything. LA sucks. There's not really any Walmarts in New York City. The closest one to me is like over an hour away. Walmart isn't prevalent at all here in New York City. I remember telling some people in my server before that, I've only been in a Walmart like once or twice in my life, and they're like, "Holy shit, really?" Because where other people live in this country, of course, there's Walmarts like everywhere, but New York City, I believe, there's some kind of rule against not have. There's some kind of rule where Walmart is prohibited from having a lot of stores here. I think. Why is Walmart not in NYC? I don't want to watch a YouTube video about it. Okay, from Quora, someone explains here. Walmart does not welcome in NYC for many reasons. NYC, which comprises of 5 boroughs, is a high cost area. It's expensive to live, but salaries are also higher. Is in the business of keeping their employees poor, encouraging them to apply for food stamps, Medicaid, logistics. Walmart is in the business of infiltration, open in small towns, and all businesses fold. Yeah. Basically, the long story short, New Yorkers don't want Walmart here. I only use Instagram and Facebook these days. I only use Instagram. Well, Instagram is Facebook. It's owned by the same company, but no, when it comes to like personal social media, I use Instagram exclusively. My friends are on there, and I DM them uh, somewhat regularly on there. That's how I keep in touch with some of the people who, some people who I was in high school with. Ever heard of Bromo Dragonfly? I have not. I don't know who that is. Used to use Twitter, but got tired of all the ignorance on there. Don't blame you. My mom got COVID recently, and I'm exhibiting the same symptoms despite testing negative. I hope he didn't actually get COVID because sometimes the tests actually do give false negatives. Hell, my uncle had a COVID scare back in December, the same uncle who has COVID now, but back in December, he thought he got COVID because he got a false positive. Um, but turns out that was a false alarm. He found out through the other test, the longer one, the PCR test, that he's actually negative. He was actually negative. And this time his rapid test gave him a false negative, and the PCR one revealed that he actually was positive. So maybe get another test to uh, make extra sure that you don't have COVID, because if your mom just had COVID and then you get sick and you're exhibiting the same symptoms as her, um, you know, that's maybe you should get tested again, you know? I don't. Octopath Traveler, is that a game? I don't know. I saw a Target at least in Long Island as I flew over. Yeah, Long Island. Long Island, I think, has some Walmarts. I know you mentioned Target, but that's where I went to go to a Walmart. Target in New York City is pretty common, though. Um, God, my uncle talks loud. I don't know if you could hear him or not. Maybe not that much, but anyway. That's why Long Island is where I went to go to a Walmart. We went there like 2 years ago for something. I forget why. My mom needed something that wasn't available at any of the Targets here or any store around here, but Walmart had it. And it was actually, I actually went alone because I was like, I've only been to a Walmart like once before in my life when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old. It'd be cool to go again, I guess, because I haven't been to a Walmart again aside from that one time in my life. God, imagine being excited to go to a Walmart. My mom's friends got COVID and I think they tested positive. Oh jeez. Well, hopefully they didn't infect anyone else. Bromo Dragonfly is a psychedelic similar to LSD, but the high can last a week instead of hours. Jesus. No thank you. Yeah, it really shows my knowledge of psychedelics. I didn't even know what you were talking about. Thought you were talking about a person or like a YouTuber or something. Should I leave or not? That's up to you. I can't dictate whether or not you stay and watch the stream. My dad also got sick. Yeah, if all these people are getting sick around you and then you get sick and they all had COVID and you're exhibiting the same symptoms as them, I say, yeah, you should probably get tested again. I mean, it's up to you, but I'm just saying that's a good possibility you might have gotten COVID and maybe you got a false negative. Had COVID in July. It was nasty. Yeah, the people I know who got COVID don't did not have the best experience with it. Which again makes me happy that I've been able to dodge it so far these past 2 years. Um Again, I know I'm very lucky. I think my luck will run out though. I think it'll run out. I got very close to catching COVID because, like I said at the beginning of my stream, my uncle got COVID. And I got tested, got both the rapid and the PCR, and both came back negative. So I've dodged it once again, and I feel fine. So I didn't get it. Um, but I feel like my luck will run out eventually because I'm going to in-person classes. I've been going to in-person classes since January, and and I take public transportation, which I'm sure is like fucking a haven for COVID to spread. Also, I haven't been really going out at all, and outside of just walking outside a few times. Yeah, I go out nearly every day of the week now, or at least Mondays through Thursdays, and occasionally on the weekend. I like to stay indoors mostly though. Octopath Traveler is a game. I haven't played it yet, and I never even heard of it. Yeah, don't know what kind of game it is. Your dad tested negative. That's good. My other uncle also got a cold recently. And the same time, my this uncle got COVID. We thought my other uncle got COVID too, or maybe he even gave my this uncle COVID. But no, he actually just got a cold. Just coincidentally got sick around the time my uncle got COVID. He got tested and it came out negative. Think it's an RPG. I'm not really that into RPGs outside of the Mother series and played Persona 5 and I mean, good game, but I'm not really itching to play that again anytime soon though. Mother games are a fucking treasure though. Huge exception when it comes to me not caring about RPGs all too much. God, I can hear every word my uncle is saying right now on the phone. I think he's talking to one of his coworkers. He can probably hear everything I say though, but I don't know. I don't talk as loud as he does usually. So how's everyone doing today? Are you all good? Happy, healthy, I hope. Opioids are completely off the table for me though. After my oldest brother overdosed on fentanyl and died a few months ago, no, ain't touching that shit ever. Shit, I'm sorry to hear about your brother. That's horrible. Yeah, opioids, I'm no. That's a big no-no for me. I mean, I see for I've seen firsthand what addiction can do to a person, and I no opioids. I never want to try, not even out of curiosity. Same old good, doing good. There is something I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, I don't know anything about her. I don't listen to her, but the most I've been hearing about her is the past few days. Lizzo. She's that, plus sized singer or whatever, or a rapper. I don't even know what kind of music she does, but recently she played a flute, James Madison's flute, one of the founding fathers, and also, slave owner. And conservatives have been freaking the fuck out that she was playing this flute. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I watched a Majority Report clip recently, last night actually. They showed the clip of her playing this flute, and she was like slightly shaking her ass. They're saying, "Oh, she was playing this historical artifact, and she was twerking, showing no respect for said historical artifact." I, did you even know James Madison played a flute until this became a huge controversy? Or you even knew this flute fucking existed? Fucking calm down. The same fucking outrage over and over again. Conservatives get mad at the dumbest fucking shit, and they end up forgetting about it within a week. And that is the most I've ever paid attention to Lizzo. Because again, I don't listen to her music. I don't even know what kind of music she makes. Same old good, doing good. Hello, Justin. Long time no see. How are you doing? Ever heard of Brandon Herrera? He was hilarious. He has this hilarious series called the Gun Darwin Awards that shows what happens when people who shouldn't be trusted with squirt guns use real guns. Um, I never heard of that, but it sounds entertaining. They also have to mention her weight out of nowhere, like, okay, she's plus sized. What's your point? They want. I know exactly why they bring up her weight. They think every woman should have a certain build, and she doesn't fit. She doesn't fit that mold that conservatives have of what a woman should be. So therefore, they relentlessly mock her for it. Good, just cleaning up my rooms and my bathroom right now. Had a quick recovery from COVID. Yeah, I heard like 2 weeks ago when I checked your server that you got COVID. I don't know how your recovery went, but I'm glad it went well from what you say here. Um, yeah. I don't know if you watched the. You probably just got here, so uh, I don't know if you know this already, but my uncle got COVID. The one that is in the room next to me, and I thankfully tested negative, so my streak of not having COVID still lives on. Happy about that, but yeah, he didn't get it that bad though. Thankfully, it's just in the form of a really bad cold. Could be worse, of course. He could have ended up in the hospital or something. Thankfully, again, he didn't get it that bad. They see women as property and objects and sex objects, so of course, yeah, definitely. I've seen people on YouTube making hate comments about Lizzo for her weight. Yeah, that's pretty par for the course on the internet, though. Unfortunately, if someone is plus sized, they get relentlessly mocked for it. Hope he recovers soon. Yeah, he's doing pretty good though. He's still working, of course. Right now, I think he's talking to a coworker, and he again. I'm very happy he didn't get it that bad. There's a sleeping pill called Zolpidem that's also used recreationally. I know this guy in Discord who uses it sometimes, and he said he hallucinated shadow people when he was in bed at night. I know there's I know there's people who are addicted to sleeping pills. That's pretty crazy though, hallucinating shadow people. That is something I plan on not doing ever. Also, being addicted to a prescription medication. I think I had the BA.5 variant or Omicron in general. I don't know what kind of variant my uncle got. He didn't tell us, and I don't know if he knows exactly what variant he got, but all I know is that he got COVID. And that's, of course, all I need to know to stay away from him for the time being. Only problem is I keep having to make Charlie get out of his room because he doesn't only like going in this room, he likes going in my uncle's room too. And there have been plenty of times where I had to stop him from going in there because, your pets can also get COVID too. And considering that Charlie is 14 now, that depresses me. But, anyways, he's 14 now. So if he were to get COVID, that would probably kill him. So, yeah, I've been having to make him get out of my uncle's room a lot. I'm interested in relaxants such as Zolpidem, but you have to be extremely disciplined in your usage because they can get addictive. Yeah, but just to be on the safe side, I don't want to try sleeping pills just to use them. I don't want to fucking use sleeping pills recreationally like that. I noticed my dog was coughing earlier, worse than usual. Jeez, I hope your dog is okay. Hope your dog didn't get infected or anything. I noticed my cat Tony coughs a lot. He had a big health scare a few months ago. He wasn't eating, he was very lethargic, he was losing weight, he wasn't grooming himself. All of those are classic signs that a cat is about to die. And we thought he was going to die. One day my uncle let him out and he didn't come back for a few days, but then a few days later he came back. He was eating again, and now he is just completely back to life. He is back to exactly how he was before he got sick. And he is grooming himself again. His fur isn't all knotted and ugly like it was when he was sick. So I don't know what happened to him. Ca- my uncle said one day he let him out, and then one day he came back, and then he came back all lethargic like that. So maybe he caught something outside. I don't know. My cat Maxwell will be 11 in December. Huh. My cat Charlie turned 14 in April. April 1st is his birthday. Yeah, I know. Funny, funny day, but yeah, I hope he still has plenty of years left because cats can live well into their 20s these days. And I hope Charlie is one of those cats. Heard about that too. Luckily my cat didn't get it. Yeah, didn't she just get a cat recently? I think. My cat came in the house at around 10 o'clock with a wound by his ear. Took him to the vet to get it sterilized. No idea what caused it though. I remember when I was a kid, we had this old cat. It was a really nasty cat. Every time I went around that cat, it would try to swipe at me. One time it even stabbed me too in this finger. And I remember exactly where it stabbed me because you can't see it because of the shitty Mac webcam, but there's a little bump here where that cat stabbed me. It's still there to this day. But one day that my grandma let that cat outside and then it came back and one eye was blind. I don't know if it got attacked or anything, but one day it came back and it was half blind. That cat eventually died because of a tumor because there was this big ugly tumor growing on its head and you could see it clearly. I feel bad for that cat. It didn't deserve to go like that. My dog is around 8 to 9 years old. My dad recently lost his dog. Well, not really recently, but almost a year ago, I think. That dog was, I think, 10 or even 9. I forget how old it was exactly, but he misses the fuck out of that dog. I never got to meet the dog because I've never went to where he lives, but yeah, still feel bad for him. He took it pretty hard. Mine turned 1 in July. Oh, we got her in November last year when we moved here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember you mentioning one point that you got a cat. I think you have a bunny too. I remember you sharing pictures of that. in the past. My dog Dee Dee had to be put down this year since she was circling the floor and wasn't able to move upstairs anymore. Jeez, that sucks. Yeah, I had a friend whose dog died a few years ago. Remember me and some other friends went over to his place to comfort him a bit because he took it really hard because he had that dog since he was a little kid. But at the very end, that dog was going to the bathroom on the floor and could barely move, and it was time to put it down. It's really sad seeing a pet deteriorate like that, and I'm very glad all the cats I have at my house are old, but they're still pretty active, and they're not sick or anything. And knock on wood, they stay like that for a long time. It's bittersweet having an old cat like Charlie. He's been my best friend for over 10 years now, and it's really nice to have such a close bond with a cat, with a pet for so long. But you have that thought lingering at the back of your head that their time is ticking. They're old. you know Sooner rather than later they're going to pass away. But I try not to think about that all too much. The cat that went missing you mentioned probably hunkered down in the isolation for a bit. Cats who are sick are known to hunker down for days, weeks, or even months and come back like nothing happened. Probably that's the case. That's probably what Tony did. He wanted to leave and he was gone for like 2 days and then he came back. When he came back, he was still lethargic and everything because b- before he left, he didn't eat for days and God knows what the fuck he was doing those 2 days he was gone. But he came back and he was eating again and he was slowly but surely regaining his strength and now he's completely back to normal. But yeah, what you said is probably true. Because even when he did come back and was slowly regaining his strength, he still didn't want to come back in the house. He preferred staying outside for like 2 weeks, but now he's in and out like he used to be, like he usually is. I know it's not the best to have a cat that lives both in the house and outside, but that's what my family does. That's what we did with my cat Debbie, who passed away a few years ago. God, who knows how old she was. She I don't even know. But you know, when a cat lives outside for, when a cat, is used to living outside or has lived outside for a number of years, like both Tony and Debbie, they're pretty conditioned to going outside and don't want to stay in a house all day. So it's just kind of ingrained into them to go outside. But Charlie and the two other cats that have lived with us for 10 plus years now don't go outside at all. And they're not interested in going outside. They're fully domesticated. Yeah, we have a rabbit as well. Yeah, I remember seeing some pictures of it. My cat Sheldon is very big, bigger than my other cat Marion. I had a fish named Sheldon back in like 2008, 2009, something like that. That fish lasted a long time too. I had it for like a year. Then one day it died, and I was so sad about that. I don't even know why I named it Sheldon. It's just the name that popped in my head when I thought of naming it. Of all names. Cats get into all kinds of crazy shit when they're out lurking at night, so who knows where the wound came from and who knows what Tony was doing. Yeah. Who knows? Is anyone looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom? Yeah, I am, kinda sorta. It's going to be a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, of course, and as you probably know, I wasn't the craziest about Breath of the Wild. I prefer how Zelda games were before Breath of the Wild, but whatever. It is what it is. I'll still play it, of course, and I do still have interest in getting the Switch version of Breath of the Wild because fuck ever playing the Wii U version again. um, and also to just kind of refamiliarize with whatever story Breath of the Wild has. I know it wasn't the most story heavy Zelda game out there. But since Breath of the Wild not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a direct continuation of what happened in Breath of the Wild, I'd like to refamiliarize myself with what even happened in Breath of the Wild. But I definitely care about the new Zelda game than I do like Splatoon 3. Again, I didn't even know Splatoon 3 came out until like a few days after it released. God. I used to be on top of the latest Nintendo releases and always paid attention to the latest Nintendo news, and now here I am finding out like days later that a new Nintendo game came out. Used to have a fish when I was little as well. I think a lot of people had fishes when they were little. It's like the perfect pet for a kid, kind of, I guess. You don't have to actually like do much to take care of it aside from just sprinkling food into its tank and just swims around all day. You don't have to take it anywhere, don't have to walk it, don't have to do much aside from, feed it and clean the tank. And even then my mom was the one that did that. I also heard about this guy who did zolpidem and said during the trip he was lying in his bed for what felt like a decade when in reality it was only 7 hours. Crazy shit, man. Like, even sober, sometimes it feels like I've been sleeping for a decade, even though I sleep for around the same amount of time, 7 hours. Well, actually, I think today I slept for 8 hours. I have a I sleep with this video playing that's of a fan that has the sound of a fan blowing and the video lasts for 10 hours. I do that because there's construction in my area. I've mentioned that a number of times in these streams, and it used to keep me up, but now I have one of those ASMR videos or whatever that has a fan blowing for that has the sound of a fan blowing for that's on repeat for 10 hours. And what I also like about that is, when I wake up, I see how long into the video I am, which is, uh, I see that it's been playing for like 7 or 8 hours, so I know exactly how long I sleep now. It's kind of interesting to me. I had a really good sleep though. Speaking of sleep, um, I usually have pretty good nights of sleep, but this night especially for whatever reason was really nice. I don't know. I woke up completely refreshed. There are a lot of times where, usually on like a day where I have to go to class, I wake up and I'm still groggy as all hell, and I just don't want to fucking get up, even though I've been sleeping for like 7 hours, and I wake up at like 1 in the afternoon. That's the privilege of going to college, or that's the luxury of going to college. You can pick and choose what times you want to go to class, and you don't have to wake up at like 6 in the morning like you did for high school and below. I did try a more conventional schedule with my first semester of college. I still did the whole wake up at 6 in the morning thing, go to class at like 9 in the morning. But during the pandemic, I realized that really is not for me at all. So even now, going to in-person classes, I choose afternoon classes. And last semester, I even had a night class, which is really nice. I my I that class officially ended at 9:30, but the teacher usually let us out like an hour before. So usually around 8:30 that class ended. I didn't mind that one bit. Not at all. If school was like that, I would totally have. If high school was like that, I would have totally, had classes at night. Why the hell not? I see the stream has finally entered the 1 hour mark. Fuck. Time flies when you're having fun. Being able to go in person still feels like a rare opportunity for me. The classes for my major are all online, and sometimes I wonder what I'm really getting out of it without being in person. Um, for my college, there are hardly any online classes, and there's usually like one or two online classes, but those get snatched up like that. I wanted to snag one online class this semester, but the only one I could find that was, part of my major was snatched up in a fucking instant. Because, obviously people want to take online classes because, of the convenience it provides, but I don't really mind having an all in person semester. This is my first 100% in person semester since my first semester back in 2019, my first semester of community college. Crazy. I mean, officially my classes are all in person, but my professor got COVID recently. One of my professors got COVID recently, and that class has been online. Um, Probably though by this Tuesday it'll be back in person. I can't imagine for 3 weeks in a row he's still for a third week in a row he still has COVID, but who knows? But he got it really bad apparently. One day he just completely lost his voice and he was really, really sick and he got tested and lo and behold, found out he got COVID. So I didn't have his class this week though, this past week because the first Monday and Tuesday I had off for Rosh Hashanah, and Wednesday was a regular class schedule, which didn't include the class I have that has the professor that got COVID. And then on Thursday we followed a Monday schedule to make up for the day we missed. So I didn't have that class on that day too. Yesterday was really nice though because the first class I had for the day, the professor canceled. He was like, "No, I don't want to do class on Thursday." So I only had one class yesterday. Was only there for an hour. The commute was longer than the class. Even though going in person can be a little tiring middle to the end of the semester, it's just nice to be in person and feel like you're getting more out of it. Yeah, yeah. What I liked the most about going in person again was not being just hunkered indoors all the time. You know, um, I liked actually interacting with people again, interacting with people who are not my immediate family again, and having all of my and having other interactions outside of that be exclusively online. It was refreshing to actually go somewhere to go to class again after 2 years of not doing that. God. I'm just really thankful that I have people that I had people that I live with, you know. I have people that live with me, you know, three other people, used to be four, but but no, there are plenty of people out there who, went through the pandemic completely alone, quarantined in complete isolation. And it's horrible. This pandemic really shook up our world, shook up our lives. Sometimes I complain about living with other people, but I realize that I don't really have it so bad. I'm glad to have the family that I have and have people, I can have people. to interact with face to face during the pandemic because there were a lot of people out there who didn't have that. Even being out of work for a couple of weeks, it really drove me nuts not to be around coworkers I really like being around. Even my manager is really nice to be around. Yeah. I'm sure it's rough having to quarantine like that. For me, it probably wouldn't be that much of a big deal because I don't like generally I don't really like being around people all too much, but no, I can understand why one would feel that way though. You know, being forced to not go anywhere because you got a virus that you could easily spread to other people, especially if you really like going out to other places, even your job, it's rough. You're forced to be inside your home 24/7, and you're forced to not interact with people all too much because again, could easily spread what you have to them. And, I don't blame anyone for not liking it. I say take the virus seriously and all that, and I mean it, but I still understand. I can still perfectly understand why one would not like quarantine because it must be probably a miserable experience. Again, you can't go out, you can't interact with other people. Sucks. Like even my uncle who's in the room next to me, I've barely spoken to him since he tested positive. I don't want to be around him, and he understands he can't be around me or anyone else. And like I said at the beginning of this stream, I'm just scared that my mother potentially caught it because she's got health issues of her own. Nothing too serious, but she has pre-existing medical conditions, and I really don't want to. Me and her don't. She really doesn't want to risk getting COVID herself because she has no clue how that would go down for her. For all we know, she wouldn't get it that bad, but you know, rather not risk anything happening to her. I'm glad I'm going back on the second. I had the first scheduled off ahead of time before I even knew I would catch it. I see. Well, what's the second and like what? 2 days from now. So Sunday you'll be back at work. Well, I'm glad you'll be I'm glad your recovery is going smoothly, and I'm glad you didn't get COVID. Well, I don't know how COVID was like for you. I don't know if it was in the form of a really bad cold, but hopefully COVID wasn't too terrible for you. I mean, there are people who are still going in hospitals because they caught COVID, and I'm sure that wasn't your experience. But yeah, I'm just glad in general that you're you're recovering and things are going fine for you. You're starting college in January. Well, good luck. It was kind of like a back and forth flu during the worst days. I don't think I've ever even caught the flu, so I don't really know what the flu is like. I know what really bad fevers are like, and those are hell. But the flu is obviously worse than that. Didn't lose my taste or smell at least. I had a professor last semester who got COVID as well. For like a week, we had to take his class online, and he said he completely lost his sense of taste. I'm pretty sure he regained it back by the time the semester ended, but there was a student in that same class. He mentioned he got COVID before the semester even started, and he lost his sense of taste, and he never regained it back. I don't know if by now he regained it back, but back then he got COVID months ago and he still didn't regain it back. That's something I'm kind of worried about too. It's not the end of the world, but I don't want to lose my sense of taste or smell for that matter. I think like 10 years ago I got sick and I lost my sense of smell for a while back in like I don't know 2012, 2013, but I got it back. I don't even know what it was I caught. I got COVID before anyone else. No, no. What's going on in the world? I did a good job of not spreading it to other family, which I'm glad they didn't get it. My mom's allergies or something have been acting up recently and thought for a bit she had it. Yeah, that must have been scary. If I were to get it, I've staying the fuck away from my mother because I don't even want to risk her catching it. It would be really scary if my grandmother was still alive, though. With my uncle catching COVID and everything. She was the one we feared the most of getting COVID because, she was elderly and she was in that prime she was in that prime demographic of people who are most likely to die from getting COVID. So, when the pandemic was at its peak, when she was still alive, we were almost exclusively getting our groceries online for a while. And, we only went out when we absolutely had to, like my mother, she was the one that was getting groceries if we couldn't wait to get them, shipped to us. Ugh, you know, that time in 2020 was just something else. God, the Blackboard app on the phone sucks ass. Kind of like regular Blackboard, the college, the site where you do your where you submit college work. Got to sign in every single fucking time. If you're wondering why I brought that up, I'm using it right now. I'm checking to see if it's some due dates that I forgot. I had an uncle named Bert who died of AIDS in the 80s. Shit. Yeah. It's really it's fucking disgusting. The sheer negligence the sheer negligence of AIDS back in the 80s. Thank you, Reagan. Okay. Just checking something from one of my classes. He was apparently the only gay family member I had. Mm, damn. Well, you never know that for sure. Plenty of people who still live in the closet. Blackboard on mobile does suck sometimes. Sucks for me all the time. Have to sign in every single time I open the app. Sometimes when I do sign in, it's just a loading loop. Have to keep closing the app several times to fucking get it to work. Frustrating. My phone is already down to 75%. I charged it right before doing the stream. Mm. Probably getting the iPhone 14 soon, though. Is that out? Probably is already out. I haven't checked. Welcome back, Big Guy 45s. Hope you had a nice rest. This semester has really gave me a run for its money. Yeah, with you getting COVID and everything, I'm sure. Just a lazy day, and sorry to hear about your uncle. For me, every day is a lazy day. That's just how I live life. Mostly, it keeps asking me to sign in if I'm on another network. Well, for me, it doesn't even matter if it's on another network. It's just always asks me to fucking sign in, and it's annoying. Can't even use Face ID to sign in. I have to manually sign in every single time. It would be one thing if I could just scan my face and have it fucking sign in automatically, but no, it doesn't do that. You have the 14 Pro? I didn't even know. I didn't even know the 14 Pro is already out. Well, I had a hunch it was already out, but I didn't really check the I didn't check the release date to make sure it's already out. But hope you're enjoying it. Well, that's a bit concerning to hear that it doesn't have the best battery life. We got it last Tuesday, 256 gigabyte and in silver. Yeah, I had no clue. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you've been enjoying it besides the battery life. How's that thing they keep talking about? What is it? Uh, Dynamic Island? Is that actually good or is it just a gimmick? Like, do you actually make use of it? Because I watched bits and pieces of Apple's presentation. I didn't care about the normal 14 when they were talking about that. Just skipped right away to when they were talking about the 14 Pro, and I saw them showing off the whole thing, the top of the screen, the dynamic island, and I was like, that's just kind of cool. Maybe I'll make use of it whenever I do get the phone. Dynamic Island ain't bad, but I think it's still a little too early to decide. Yeah, I'm sure it hasn't been fully integrated to every app yet, so gotta wait a while to see its full potential. Sort of compared it to like a touch bar. Mm. I think it is cool that and they did away with the notch, but instead they it kind of has the notch, but it kind of doesn't. It doesn't have an actual notch there, but it has the dynamic island that kind of imitate a notch in a way. and the shape changes and whatever depending on whatever you're doing. But it's definitely high time for me to get a new phone. This phone has served me well, but the battery is just something I can't stand anymore. It's nowhere near what my iPhone 6 was doing at the end, where God, it wouldn't even last a full school day before going down to like 15%, and I would have to shut it off. But this is getting pretty annoying with the battery dying quickly. I've never had this phone fully die on me though, where, it shuts off automatically and it just shows you the dead battery icon and you got to recharge it before it turns back on. I've never let the phone get to that point, but it's gotten pretty close to that point on plenty of days as of recent. I think it would be cool if more notifications were in it instead of its default way of showing notifications, though that's my take. Other things you don't have to go to the control center at least, like the music and things that make use of the dynamic island. I think that's what I would use the dynamic the most for, music control. Having, you know, being able to control music from the top of your phone instead of having to go into the control center, going into the music app. That sounds really nice because I listen to music a lot on my phone. It's like probably the thing I do the most on my phone. In iOS 16, though, I'm really not a fan of how notifications appear at the bottom of the screen now. I don't know, notifications just look kinda cluttered like that. I like how it was before. That's just me. At first, I thought that was a glitch or something, but no, I think that's how it really appears. The new battery percentage icon on, but they're making it better in 16.1. I was That was probably the thing that caught my attention the most when they were talking about iOS 16, or not iOS 16 in general. I still don't see a battery percentage on my 11, but when they're talking about the iPhone 14 Pro, I mean, you could actually see the battery percentage again without going into the without going into the control center. I mean, that is something I really missed because before iPhones went bezel-less, you could actually see the battery percentage, and when they got rid of the bezels for whatever fucking reason, they thought it was a good idea to remove the battery percentage. They thought it was a good idea to remove you being able to see the battery percentage at all times without you going into the control center. I'm glad they brought that back in the 14 Pro though. You can enable it in battery settings. Can I do it on my 11 then? Or is it just on the 14? Because I would like to be able to see my battery percentage at all times. Because again, I think it's pretty fucking dumb that old iPhones could do it, but not newer ones. Yep, I was able to on my 12 Pro. I'm in battery settings, but it's not giving me any option unless they don't provide it for phones below the 12, or maybe they only do it for the Pro iPhones and this isn't an 11 Pro. I don't know. No, I'm not getting any option like that. Uh, Important battery message. Your iPhone's health has significantly degraded. An Apple authorized service provider can replace the battery to restore full performance and capacity. Yeah, that's when you know your iPhone's on the way out when when you get a message like that. Rip. Well, it's not the end of the world. I'm probably not gonna have this iPhone for much longer anyway. I do remember Brain Pop. Um, God, I've seen Brain Pop videos all the way up until like high school. Teachers would play it when they don't feel like teaching themselves. They just let Brain Pop do the teaching for the day. I remember in middle school, it was either in science class, it was either Brain Pop or Bill Nye episodes, which I was fine with just watching videos for the day instead of having the teacher lecture us for the entire period. Unless, they handed you out sheets where you had to fill out, you had to do fill in the blanks and shit like that and answer questions and, asking you, "Oh, what did they say in this video or in this episode?" And both Brain Pop and Bill Nye are classroom goats, indeed. Yeah, I don't have that option to see the battery percentage on the iPhone 11 on my iPhone 11. Either it's not f- they Either they don't provide it for people who still have the iPhone 11, or I'm just the dumbest fucking person alive and can't for the life of me find this option. Whatever, whatever. I remember in high school I watched Crash Course U.S. History with John Green. Yeah, I saw that too. I remember Crash Course. And sometimes in history class they would put that on. Yeah. Or not even just history. I think Crash Course also did videos on like books and stuff, and I've seen Crash Course videos in English class a few times in like high school and middle school. Uh, Review Tech USA uploaded. I failed all of you, and I'm sorry. Looks like I have a doozy to watch when I'm done with this stream. But yeah, I used to like watching Bill Nye in class just because of the theme song. It's fucking catchy as hell. Bill Nye the Science Guy. I would always hate it whenever if the teacher ever skipped the intro though. Some teachers I had would do that. Put on a Bill Nye episode, skip the intro, go straight into the episode. I never said anything, but I was like, "No. No, you skipped the best part of the episode." The only thing I wish the 14 Pro would have is USB-C. Haven't people said that would be coming to iPhones for, like, years now, and it never happens? Apparently, Alfred Molina from Indiana Jones and Spider-Man 2 donated to Bernie Sanders. Same with John Green. Cool. Yeah, now they're thinking it'll happen on the 15 series. And then the 15 series comes nothing. 16 series comes nothing. Oh god, gotta love bullshit internet rumors. Or maybe it will happen next year, who knows? But I I take internet rumors like that with a huge grain of salt. If they're continuously pushing back when a rumor is supposed to is supposed to supposedly happen, that's when you know it's probably not legitimate. Kind of like the Switch Pro. You know, they say, "Oh, the Switch Pro will be coming this year," and then that year comes, nothing happens. Then they'll say it'll come the next year. Next year comes and goes, never comes. The Switch Pro never releases. Oh god. They also have that thing the EU is signing where I think all companies need to use the same port to reduce e-waste. Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm glad the 14 Pro seems to be a significant upgrade this time around because usually the Pro models of iPhones, yeah, sure, they're better than the base models, of course, but not by a wide margin or anything. Like when I got this 11, I wasn't so crazy about getting the 11 Pro because I was like, it's mostly the same thing, maybe with just a better camera and slightly better performance, I guess. But no, this time around, the 14 Pro is a pretty big upgrade. That's nice to see. Um, I think the 14 Pro comes up came out before the 14, right? I think they usually come out at the same time, but not this time around, apparently. I use the telephoto at work and like knowing I can have extra zoom on other things. Yeah, I've heard about that on the 14 as well. Isn't the 14 able to record in 8K? Oh no, I thought I remember hearing that it could record up to 8K, or maybe that was just a rumor I've heard somewhere, and I took it as fact or mistook it as something that Apple uh, is actually confirmed. But I thought for sure it could record in 8K. That would be fucking crazy though. 8K edition of Touching Grass, a channel trailer. No, but fuck. 4K videos take long enough to upload onto YouTube. I can't imagine 8K videos. Sheesh. Have you seen how old Samsung phones have been lying around? People have lying around have been swelling? No, I've heard nothing about that. Swelling? Like, as in what? They're about to, like, explode or something? Like, the battery swells up. Is it like the same situation years ago where people were having their fucking Samsung phones explode in their pockets? Because that's kind of concerning to see your phone battery just swell up. I don't really keep up with phone news like that, so I don't. I've this is the first time hearing about that. It can, but it mostly just cracks open the back. Well, I say if your phone is doing that, even if it's not going to explode, I say you should probably get it replaced just to be on the safe side. It even has been happening as recent as the S20 and the Fold 2. I figured Samsung would have gotten that problem nailed down after, that huge controversy, like, what, 7 years ago, where people were getting their new Samsung phones and it was fucking exploding in their pockets. I didn't know this was still an issue for them. My iPhone 11 has a tendency to get really hot now too. It never tells me that, the iPhone needs to cool down or anything, the overheating message, but it does get kind of hot when I'm using it for an extended period of time these days. It seems to have appeared recently. I found out from tech channels where they have basically every phone in storage. They only noticed it with Samsung phones. Yeah, it seems to be a problem exclusive with Samsung. I never heard anything about an iPhone exploding. I'm sure it's happened, but it's not like widespread like it seems to be with Samsung. My dad really hates iPhones. He much prefers I think he used Samsung phones before he got his iPhone. I think he has the 12, the iPhone 12. He said he wanted to try something different, but he really fucking hates he really hates iOS. He says he likes the freedom that comes with Android. But now with this, I don't think I would want to risk getting a Samsung phone because I'd be kind of afraid that it would be in my pocket and explode. He really wanted to try to convince me uh, to get a phone with, get an Android phone, you know? Either get a Samsung or whatever other phone has Android OS, has an operating system that runs Android. But I'm so used to the Apple ecosystem at this point that I see no point in switching. No Android phone for me. I don't know if I'll ever want to go back one day either, but I'm content with what I have currently. iOS has been getting better over the years. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it's time for iOS to get a redesign. I mean, there have been, some aesthetic changes throughout the years. Like if you compare when they first, I think it was iOS 7 when they first had the current design, you could spot differences right away if you compare iOS 7 to iOS 16, of course. But, in general, it's been the same design for like 10 years now. And I don't know. I'd really like Apple to change it up finally. I really miss the old iOS design with the realistic looking app icons and all that. I forget the official name for that, but that was really cool. I look at pictures of what iOS used to look like, and I'm like, damn, I really miss when iOS looked like that. Maybe, yeah, sure, maybe it's not as pretty to look at as iOS these days, but I just really like it had a bit more soul put into it. Jesus, I think a bird flew into the window. It's been a while since that happened. Crazy that that happened on stream. Fuck, I remember a few years ago, actually 2 years ago, like a month before my grandma went to the hospital, I think, bird flew right into the living room window, and it died. Grandma put it in the garbage. She's the only one in this house who did things like that. I think the only way around it is if you customize icons with shortcuts to have those old icons. I thought you would have to jailbreak it to get those old icons back. I've never tried jailbreaking my phone, and I'm not really interested in doing that. Few years ago, I did have a really big interest in jailbreaking my phone, but uh, I didn't feel like bothering to get it set up and all that. Ever since like iOS 14, people have been customizing their app icons on the home screen, though you have to use the shortcuts app to do it. I've never tried that. I don't think I even have the shortcuts app. Wait, no, I do. I think after I updated to iOS 16, the app automatically appeared on my home screen. I've been meaning to delete it, but maybe I'll play around with it before I and decide if I want to delete it or not. Thanos. Okay. Don't snap me away or whatever you do in the Avengers movie. I don't know because I don't watch the superhero stuff. I'm pretty I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to the superhero stuff. I know nothing. God, I remember when Endgame came out, everyone in my school was talking about it. I kind of felt like the odd one out because I I just seemed like the only one in my friend group who never cared about the superhero stuff, the comic book movies, the Marvel movies, the DC movies. My friends talked on and on about all that when Endgame came out, and you know, I would mostly just sit there in silence because I would have no clue what they were talking about because I didn't watch the movie, didn't have any interest in seeing the movie. I don't know. Superhero stuff and all that just never really clicked with me. The only exception though is the Spider-Man games on PlayStation. Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. I just recently played through those again. Those are really fun. But aside from that, I don't don't pay attention to that. Not trying to say that, to be like I'm better than all those people who watch those stupid Marvel movies or DC movies. It's just that I'm just saying I've legitimately never cared about those movies. But if other people enjoy those movies, fine, whatever. It's their taste. Like, I have no right to judge. Because I remember in high school, someone was asking me about Endgame around the time it came out. I was like, no, I don't watch the superhero stuff. I don't have any interest. And he's like, oh, aren't you special? I was like, I wasn't saying that to be a dick. I wasn't saying that to like act superior over other people who enjoy the superhero stuff. I'm just saying I personally don't have any interest. It's okay to not like superheroes. I personally am a fan of superheroes, but it's fine to not like them. Oh, cool. That's yeah. Chad, yeah, I guess so. Spider-Man PS1 and Ultimate Spider-Man were also great Spider-Man games. Played the shit out of them as a kid. I played the game based on the first, well, the first what's his name, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, and also I played, of course, Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube, and I didn't really like the first one all that much, or the one based on the first Tobey Maguire movie all too much. But I did kind of sort of enjoy Spider-Man 2. I didn't exactly think of it as the classic that most other people hail it as. Maybe because I've been spoiled by, the new PlayStation Spider-Man games. Of course, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting a GameCube game to be exactly like those games, but still wasn't too crazy about it. It wasn't bad, but I wasn't, I wasn't fanatical over it or anything. Well, I don't have a PS1, so I can't try the Spider-Man PS1 game though. If I had the room, I would get the OG fat PS3 that played both PS1 and PS2 games, but I don't have anywhere to put that, unfortunately, in this tiny ass room. Ah, there we go. Knuckle finally cracked. Played Spider-Man 3 on the PS2. Hmm. I never played the third one, but I've only played the one based on those two movies. Unless if you have any interest in playing them. If you have any interest in playing any Spider-Man games, those two games are great. I do wish Miles Morales was a bit longer though. I mean, they have side that game has side missions and shit keep you busy because the main story is so short. But even then, it doesn't have that many side missions. It's more like an in between game to keep people busy for during the wait for the actual sequel to 2018. One game I want to play is Arkham Knight. I don't have any interest in the Arkham games. After this stream, I have to write a poem for my creative writing class. Yes, I'm taking a creative writing course. Um, I haven't written much poetry before taking this class. I wrote one poem for it so far, and I'm gonna write after this one. I'm gonna write another one. I have some idea of what I want to write. I'm kind of doing it at last minute though. It's due at midnight tonight, and I had like over a week to do it. That's just how I am. Just how I am. But no, I did the same thing actually last week, and I was pretty happy with how the poem I made. With the poem I made. Um, and I had to have. We were in groups just the other day. Other students were reading my poem and critiquing it, and they really liked it. So I think I did a pretty decent job for a poem that was written in like I don't know less than an hour's time. I don't know. I've just always been kind of been. I've always been kind of I've always been able to do that. Just write a poem on a whim if I feel like I have a good topic in mind. By the way, I'm probably gonna end the stream in like 10 minutes. That's the 2 hour and 5 minutes mark. That's usually when I end these. I think that's a good time to end it. Right now, speaking of video games, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima again. That's a really good game. One of my favorite PlayStation exclusives so far, or one of my favorite Sony games so far. For all I know, that game is already on PC. I don't know, but um, you have a PlayStation, if you have a PS4 or a PS5, play that game. It's so fucking good. When I was in high school, I got to read Macbeth, Of Mice and Men, Flowers for Algernon, Persepolis, The Great Gatsby. I read Macbeth, Of Mice and Men, and Great Gatsby. My favorite of all those that I've read that you've listed is easily Mice of Men. That was a great book. Never seen any of the movie adaptations for it though. Oh, gotta charge my computer. Hold on a sec. Oh, jeez. There we go. The wire just barely reaches. It's all tangled down there. I don't feel like untangling it right now because I'm streaming. Not for much longer, though. I really like Mice and Men's uh, representation of neurodivergent people, though. Before that was, before representation of those kinds of people were mainstream at all. Really appreciate the book for that. Ugh. I'm waiting to get that out. As Shrek says, better out than in. Made a video years ago about people complaining about others burping. I still stand by that. I have no problem with burping. My laptop's fan is really going. You can probably hear it. That's where the speakers are. Where the speaker is inside the microphone. I mean, is inside the Mac. That's where the speakers are. Just using the Mac's built-in microphone for this stream and all my other streams for that matter. I see Satanism is trending on Twitter, and that is because as Russia's military struggles, President Vladimir Putin accused the US of Satanism in a speech and cast the Ukraine war as an existential battle with the West. What a fucking whack job. It really is beyond me how anyone can support this guy. What am I eating? I'm not eating anything. Just swishing my tongue around. Do that sometimes when just laying here not doing much. Fair enough, yeah. Just one of the many weird little habits I have. Yeah. I do sometimes. And sometimes I shamelessly do it on stream. I don't think I've done it this stream though. I didn't do it right there, right now. I was just scratching an itch. Ugh. Well, you don't have to think of any more topics because I'm ready to pack it in. The stream is really winded down anyway. Um, Thank you all for being here, even those who are not here now but were here earlier. Appreciate everyone here for being here and participating in the stream. It was a fun stream. Um, and I enjoy talking to all of you in these streams. And I'll definitely do one in October, but I don't know when in October. Maybe it won't be as maybe there won't be as big of a gap in between this stream and the next stream like there was the previous one and this one. We'll see. It's really whenever I feel like doing a stream. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Like I already said, see ya until the next video, I guess.